Welcome to New Hampshire's Business. I'm Fred Coker. This is a continuation of a discussion we started with my guest in the 6 o'clock hour on what's New Hampshire going to look like in 2016 in terms of the economy, in terms of education, in terms of the agenda in the state legislature. With me to talk about those again are Russ Thibeault, Applied Economic Research, the president of, Dave Juve, Senior Vice President of the Business Industry Association of New Hampshire, and Tom Horgan, President of the New Hampshire College and University Council. Welcome to all of you. Let's go to you, Russ, again. We were talking about what's the economy going to look like in that 6 o'clock hour, and you're talking about jobs. Let's continue on that subject. Where are the jobs in New Hampshire?
Well, the jobs primarily, the primary areas that have experienced good job growth are the Seacoast area, Manchester area, and the Lebanon, Hanover area. Nashua, not so much, because it has been reliant on manufacturing, and that's been, in the past, a bit of a problem, but more recently we have had job growth. I think the real issue for 2016 is going to be labor force. Will we be able to bring enough people into the labor force, either moving into the state or people that have been on the sidelines, to really feed into the growth that the business sectors seem to be anxious to realize?
Tom Horgan, education. The Congress just eliminated the No Child Left Behind law, and they've replaced it. And according to you and some of your sources, this is going to be significant for New Hampshire.
Yeah, Congress just passed a bipartisan reauthorization of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, which replaces No Child Left Behind with Every Child Succeeds. That's going to be a major shift in how states are allowed to spend federal dollars. And we also think Congress is likely to take up the reauthorization of the Higher Education Act next year. There's an election year going on, so that may impact some of that. You may have heard about that.
We did.
But obviously for higher ed, cost, debt, and accountability are going to be the three big issues for next year.
Dave Juve, the state legislature, we talked about Medicaid expansion in the 6 o'clock hour, but let's talk about energy. We have a pipeline, a gas pipeline going through southern New Hampshire, at least proposed, which is very contentious. And of course, we have the Northern Pass, the hydroelectric line from Canada coming down through New Hampshire. Both issues, will they be in the legislature this session?
Well, I think there will certainly be bills submitted to try and either delay or bring both of those projects to a halt. Russ talked a little bit about the workforce and that having a dampening effect. If we don't have the people to hire, how do our businesses grow? Another effect here in New England, and New Hampshire in particular, is the high cost of electricity, among the highest in the nation. Right. And everyone pretty much agrees that part of that reason for the high cost is lack of infrastructure to bring energy into the state.
Do you and others think that the pipeline and Northern Pass issues will be resolved in 2016?
The thing that makes this issue difficult is that these are all long-term solutions to bringing the price down. We think there will be a lot of discussion about it. Whether it's resolved, as you mentioned, it's an election year.
Right. Yeah. Russ and Tom, we're the third highest median age in the U.S. 20 to 40% of the population, depending on what county you go into, are 75 years or older. They will be by 2030. What does that do for education? What does that do for the economy, Tom?
So for education, it's a pipeline question. It's a question of who's going to be in that pipeline of students coming out of our K-12 school systems and out of the other New England states who are going to fill the doors at our colleges and universities. And that's who's going to be available to go to work in the companies in New Hampshire who have the skills and the education that business say they need.
Yeah, and of course the number of school-age children are down 7% since 2000, which feeds into that too. Russ?
Yeah, I think that we need young people to move into the state and to stay into the state in order to keep the energy level high in our innovative economy. So it's been a problem in New Hampshire now for about 10 years. We haven't had good migration. We've had out-migration of young people, and hopefully now with a better job picture that will reverse. People want to live in New Hampshire. It's a great place to live, but you got to have a job.
We all agree it's a great place to live. And we live here. So we feel that way.
Yes.
Well, I want to thank you all. Russ Thibeault, President of Applied Economic Research, Tom Horgan, the President of the New Hampshire College University Council, and Dave Juve, Senior Vice President of the Business and Industry Association of New Hampshire. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.